All right. We are live. Hello, everybody. In case you are wondering who I am, my name is Antonio Bryce. I am the creator of the comic book series Brand, which is currently on Indiegogo. We have raised over $73,000 thanks to the kindness of folks such as yourself. If you are possibly interested in my project, I have a link to the first 21 pages of Brand. You can read that for free. Link is in the description. All right. Well, I have another indie creator here. He's got a book called, let me see, I'm probably going to butcher this, Eudaimonia.
Hey.
It's on Indiegogo right now. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Joshua Plack.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Welcome. All right. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Joshua.
I'm originally a Philly boy, city slicker. I kind of moved out to the West Coast to go to school. And what's funny is that the trip out here ended up being more enlightening than the school itself, just kind of going through middle America and seeing what that's all about. And that single experience of traveling across the country is really what inspired this whole book. It's basically about, so I'll tell the story. We were driving through like just the flatlands of America, and coming from the city, that's just wild to see. And it got me thinking about the idea of like, well, what would happen if there was a secret out here, just out in this big open space? Like, how would the need to know things kind of transmit in open areas? And that just kind of led me to, and then I came out here and I started studying like philosophy, and I'm getting into history a lot. And so eudaimonia is it's a word from old Greek philosophy. It basically means the good life, the way that we aspire to live a life that is worth all of the pain that we end up going through. And then my history studies, people who study history tend to gravitate towards a single period or a single kind of place in history. And for me, that was, I just kind of gravitated towards World War I. So this story is set in World War I, and it's basically about people who are, who kind of went through some of the worst, roughest times in history, and how they're able to kind of overcome that and manage their pain to kind of like achieve their eudaimonia.
Okay. Well, I've got your campaign pulled up. Let me see. We're kind of looking at it. Tell me about your artist.
So the art is done by a guy named M.U. Trera from Argentina, just a fantastic artist. He did work with Vertigo, but he has yet to have he's had a book published on 3 continents, but not North America yet. So this will be his first North American book. But like, as you can see, like this art just kind of speaks for itself. We kind of just collaborate on things, and I think the result is just something absolutely incredible. Like,
yeah,
collaborate on character designs and color palettes and all that.
Yeah, I definitely like this. Is he coloring as well, or do you have another separate colorist?
No, he's doing the color as well. In fact, yeah, like I do a lot of the like I'll do the page layout, like a kind of a rough design that is nothing like what the final product is, and then we kind of talk about like what kind of colors we want to use here. What kind of elements do we want to have pop off the page? But yeah, like coloring, lettering, all him.
This definitely has that nice Vertigo feel. I used to read, like Sandman and different,
yeah,
like Hellblazer and stuff like that. So this is definitely what that is reminding me of. It's got that kind of indie, but not indie look. This is a nice shot right here. This is a nice panel.
Yeah, and we were talking about like what kind of art styles we want to pull in, and we went through like things like everything from like Art Nouveau to Harlem Renaissance specifically, and stuff. I think it was Nick said it kind of looks like the New Yorker, and I think that's definitely true. And yeah, I love it.
Yeah, is he doing this digitally or is he doing traditional art?
This is all digital, which like some of these pages, it's hard to believe, like with the way he uses splatters and.
Okay. And so he's coloring this too. This is interesting. I like this. It has a nice. Who's doing your letters? Nice letters.
Yeah, no, he does that too.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, he's handling everything. Okay, I love
Yeah,
that,
no,
man.
no, I mean, like one of the things I've been saying is that, like, people need to know this guy, and if my writing is just the vessel through which he becomes more known, then that's better than anything, because he's somebody he shouldn't be able to work with me.
Oh, wow. So I mean, like I said, I'm just looking. I was like, okay, okay, I like that. And yeah.
But not to toot my own horn, I'm a pretty humble guy, but like those just I've seen his other work, and while it's amazing, like, man, something when we work together, it just turns out
Hmm.
incredible. Like that if you pull the cover up, he basically was like, well, what are you thinking for the cover? Because the story's like, kind of weird and kind of abstract. And I said,
So
I
this is the
want,
cover.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So you see how like it's really idyllic and beautiful on the top, but then the further you go down the page, the more horrific and awful it gets. Which that's intentional. We were talking about like having this kind of visual metaphors for war. But I basically told him I want, you know, battlefield, World War I, and a woman sitting in the middle of it playing a cello, and I want you to just paint the sublime coming out of her cello, and that was the result.
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Let me actually go back up, and I want to look at your perks. Okay. Let me see. Signed copy. This is your featured perk. Signed copy of Udem. Say that again for me. How do you pronounce it?
Yeah, Eudaimonia.
Eudaimonia. Okay. And I was like, oh God. I was like, Eudaimonia. Okay.
See, I
But
couldn't
okay.
call it the good life because then I would have like Miller on me.
Mm, the good life. Oh, does he use that?
Oh wait, no, wait, it's not Miller. No, there's a beer around here called the Good Life. I was confusing the
Oh, I
Good
thought you
Life
were
and
talking about Mike S. Miller. I was
oh
like, what?
no,
I was like, oh, you talking about the
the
Miller
High
Brewing
Life.
Company? Oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, billions of dollars. Yeah, that would be
yeah.
bad. I know they call it Miller High Life.
Yeah, no, I got confused. There's a beer around here called the Good Life. I just can't remember who makes it.
Oh, it's probably one of those hippie beers that I used to sell to college kids when I worked at a convenience store, and like what was like Blue Moon and some other
Oh
stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's
Yeah,
exactly like that.
it'd be that kind of like this is give me an ale. It kind of I would love when the college kids would come in, got to check the IDs and everything. They'd come in and they would get like the most obscure, you know. I'm even like, hey, Budweiser, Miller, little, Bush. I'm
Yeah,
used to, some of that kind of stuff. You know,
Natty Ice.
yeah, no, Natty Ice, Milwaukee's best. Yeah.
See, what we would do is back in the day, and this is before like beer pong was a huge thing. We would intentionally use warm Natty Ice
Ugh,
because it's like
warm beer
if
is
you
awful.
win, if you lose, you drink. That's not really losing. But if you're losing and you're drinking warm Natty Ice, that's you're taking a loss.
I'm trying to remember. There was this awful beer I drank. I think it's if I'm not mistaken, it's called Newcastle.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
yeah,
that's
and yeah, brown ale. Um,
yeah. Like steel workers drink
yeah,
that.
but like I said, apparently it's trust me. And I used to sell a lot of it, and it was premium, or it was one of our premium beers.
Yeah.
I used to sell a lot of that stuff, and man, so I was like, this stuff must be good. Everybody's buying it, and it was awful. I mean, I couldn't get through a whole bottle. It was a 6-pack of it. It was me and my buddy. We was like, fuck it, we put it in the cooler, let it get cold, cracked it open, and I took a swig, and it was some of the most god awful stuff I'd ever. And I love the taste of beer. It was some of the worst stuff I'd ever drank, and
Well,
yeah, I was not feeling it. And some of those college kids, I was like, you like the way this stuff? It's like, yeah, this is great. But then the one guy said, well, it is kind of an acquired taste. It's different, definitely different from American beers. And I was like, an acquired taste? Oh.
when I got married a couple of years ago, I catered my own wedding. We did like barbecue out in the woods, and the only beer I had at my wedding, I don't know if you're a beer drinker, you might hate this, but it was called Sweet Baby Jesus,
Oh, wow.
and it was
Never
a
heard of it.
it's from Balmer, but it's a chocolate peanut butter stout. So it's basically like you're just drinking a milkshake. Like so you put it with like a burger or some barbecue, and it's just right. Like it just works somehow.
They make all kind of like I had a buddy that was doing that microbrewery stuff, and you could like infuse it with like raspberry this or whatever, and I was like, it's beer, man.
I mean, I thought it was dumb until I mean, the only one I would do it with is that chocolate peanut butter, and I would think it was stupid too. But then I drank it, and I was like, yeah, no, I get it, yeah. Because I think stout's a little bit different. Because stout has like all kinds of vanilla and stuff in it anyway. But like, yeah, the fruity beers, I'm not really, I don't really feel that.
But I'm trying to remember. There's one of these food channels I subscribe. I'm like a foodie. I subscribe to a bunch of these food channels on YouTube, and they were showing there was a beer made from guacamole.
Ugh.
Yeah, they would tear that stuff up, man. It was like, they took like a couple hundred guacamoles, they grind, and I mean this place was apparently the business was booming in there out of California. They take it and mash down into the, get the beer, and then they put the hops up, get everything going, and then they blend the guac in there. And apparently, yeah. And one thing I noticed everybody that they talked to on camera when they were drinking it, it had a nice froth to it when they poured it off the tap. But everybody kept saying, still a little creamy. And it was weird to hear them say creamy beer. It was just strange. But, it's like, it's kind of, you can kind of taste the guacamole. It's a different.
It's like I'm not surprised, but I'm surprised.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting a guacamole beer, but the beer was surprisingly clear though. It wasn't like I thought it'd be like milky and stuff. It was still a very clear beer, but it was they sell out of this stuff. The restaurant, it's like it's only available during the season or whatever. And I mean, when the cameras were in there filming at that pub, and like I said, it's one of their house beers. They make it, and I guess they can ship it to certain places. But I've also seen beer that is infused with like a weed beer or whatever, cannabis beer.
I mean, what beer already tastes like that? You know what I mean? Like it's already skunky.
But yeah, but like I said, they make beer out of they make beer out of everything.
Now the one that threw me was the grilled cheese vodka.
I have not heard of that.
Yeah,
I drank a lot of vodka in my time.
Well, what we used to do back in the days, we would put back when cough drops would have codeine in it. We would take a bottle of vodka and just put a bunch of cough drops in it, and they would just dissolve, and it would kind of cut the alcohol, so it would basically taste like codeine and candy. So, like, I kind of get it, but yeah, no, that's nasty. I learned that from partying with Russians. Russians taught me that. Get a little bit of codeine in your vodka.
I love it. So let me. Okay, so I got you pulled up. Let me see. Eudaimonia. Say that again for me, man.
Eudaimonia.
Okay, Eudaimonia. Okay, this is your featured perk. $25. Eudaimonia, #1, signed. I didn't see any stretch goals listed, so maybe you'll add those as the campaign.
No, those are a little bit further down.
Okay, let me go back there because I didn't know if you had. Okay, hold up, I had it.
I hid them from you.
Okay. So let me see. Yeah, I got mine at the top. I used to have mine at the very bottom, and then people were like, yeah. So I actually took this section. Like when you go on there now, you'll see where everybody unlocked the stretch. Because I had mine way at the bottom, and I had all that information, and nobody could see what the hell. So, and as people unlocked them, you could see that it was unlocked and stuff.
Okay.
So, yeah, so I moved mine, but yeah, I did this too. I had mine down, and I had way too much stuff on the page, and I mean, so you had to really go down before you could see it. But now when you go in, you see it right at the top, and then right under the link where it's telling you can read brand.
Well, it's funny. I'm so wet behind the ears with all this. This is my first campaign. I actually got a vendor to do because up in the stretch goals or up in the perks, there's $100. You get 7 issues or 7 copies for $100, and I got a vendor to actually do that. And I guess he never used Indiegogo before, and I didn't even know there was a donation button. But this guy just donated $100 to it and thought like that was how you went through with it. So,
Mm. Yeah, I was like, I have not gotten any donations to my Indiegogo project, so I can.
I didn't even know that was possible until I saw it. I was like, "What the hell? You need a donation?"
Well, the reason I knew it exists because the very first Indiegogo I ran it only raised $95.
Hmm.
I ran it for 60 days and it was brand, and I ran it for 60 days and it just failed. And but someone donated like $5.
Hmm.
And I think I said a $5 donation, and I'll put a thank you page in the book, with your name on it. And so he donated $5, and I made some huge mistakes with that first campaign that I definitely won't repeat the next go around. But
Yeah.
it was I had that, but there's a trick that I've seen some people use when they're trying to kind of spike the algorithm on Indiegogo and try to, hey, we're 50% funded or whatever, and they'll go and they'll have someone like donate. I've seen people have these campaigns that I know aren't very good, and they're not getting any traction, and all of a sudden they shoot up $1,500. The guy donated like $1,500 to his campaign. Just to try to, he still didn't get funded. But
so what I'm hearing is I need to message this guy back and have him do it right.
yeah. But hey, if he's willing to, hey, But,
yeah, that's what I mean. I don't want to like refund him and then have him be like, this is too complicated. Forget it.
Yeah. So, okay, so you've got those stretch goals down there. I see the next thing here is a $10 digital download. And by the way, how many pages is Eudaimonia?
As is, it's 30. The first stretch goal unlocks a second story titled "The Harlem Hellfighter." It's a little mini story about African American soldier going off to World War I and his experiences when he comes back home.
Surprisingly, the artist on my book, Kanan White, also did a book called Harlem Hellfighters. He did it over at Avatar Press with Max Brooks, the writer of World War Z. And Mel Brooks' son. So he did, and that got optioned. That actually got optioned by I'm trying to remember because it got optioned by Will Smith's production company, and they're doing like a mini series, but it's been in production for a couple of years now, so I don't know exactly when it's gonna come. But it's supposed to be like a little 4 or 5 part mini series based on Max's Harlem Hellfighter. So you can find that on Amazon. Like, type in Max Brooks and it'll come up.
No, you're actually not the first person to recommend that. And when I went to school, like I was saying, how people kind of gravitate towards what they like. The two things I was drawn the most towards was World War I and the Harlem Renaissance. So I'll probably get that someday.
Well, I'm about to say, there's a book I had the artist Sanford Green on a few months ago. And he has a book called Bitter Root. It's kind of like a steampunk type vibe, and it's set in like the Harlem Renaissance. It's set that time, but it's got some supernatural themes and stuff. The book is dope, man, and I really was digging it. And I reached it, and I mean, he don't know me from Adam, and I happened to send him a DM, and I was like, "Hey, man," and I think I only had like about 1,300 people subscribed to the channel at that time. And I was like, would you be willing to come on and talk about Bitter Root? I really like it. He said, sure. And I was surprised. I was like, he's such a nice guy. And I have a piece of his art hanging behind my head there, little beast. Yeah, he sold me a beast and sent me a signed. They got the trade paperback of Bitter Root. He sent me a signed copy of it. And I was just, just thrilled to talk to him. And every now and again, I drop him a correspondence, and he's always been real nice. So yeah, really nice. Bitter Root is definitely 2 thumbs up for me. It is. I know they're working on the next part, but they sold the television rights to that to HBO. So I suspect if it's a hit, he will be making a nice. I mean, like I said, it's Harlem Renaissance with some steampunk in it. You'll see the one guy, he's got big kind of steampunk type gauntlets and a backpack on, and they're fighting these like creatures. I mean, this really interesting concept that they came up with. But yeah, but when you mentioned Harlem Renaissance, I immediately thought about Bitterroot. It was dope. So Harlem Hellfighter. So okay. Eudaimonia 1 for 20. So wait a minute, what's the difference between? Oh, okay. So you'll sign it for $5 more. If correct me if I'm
wrong. So the way I'm doing that, and this is crazy. Like I'm gonna because the first stretch goal unlocks where all of them are signed, but the people who get the signed one, that's going to be signed and numbered in gold Krylon paint, and then just regular silver signature for everybody else. And then the other cool thing, I can't believe I didn't mention this. So we're doing a however many people get in on this one, like this one Indiegogo, we're going to be doing like, have you ever heard like how books get really expensive if they're like a first press? So we're going to be kind of going that route. We're going to have like a nice little gold foil first edition stamp for this first run. And then however many we sell in this, that's how many they're going to be. And yeah, those are going to be numbered as well. So then like the second edition will have like a silver foil.
Interesting. Okay.
So just to kind of create like a little bit of urgency.
Well, I definitely because I'm definitely planning on reprinting Brand. It'll definitely be different the next printing. You know, obviously I'd like to have a collected edition once we complete all the different things. So okay, so this is what we were talking about earlier. This is the retailers bundle here, and so it's a $100. Matter of fact, I meant to ask you, what's your shipping like on this?
There's free shipping on everything.
That just for US or is that international?
It hasn't come up yet, but actually I meant to set it to no international.
Okay.
But the first backer I got is from Finland, but it's a guy I know, so I'm totally fine with not making as much off that one. But yeah, it's free shipping. My book is only 30 pages, so the price point is a little bit thick for something that small. So I want people to be able to see a price and say that, this is what I'm paying and no more.
I'm just saying, if this takes off, you're definitely going to want to. You might want to rethink that. I'm just telling you.
I mean, if that's a bridge I have to cross, it'll be a toll worth paying. Like okay. It's something I want my customers to have an easy time buying this book. And right. If I make a little bit less on the end, I'm okay with that.
But I'm just saying, I'm just.
Oh, I know. I know. Yeah. I used to sell records on eBay, and after like the first couple weeks, it was like, no more international.
There you go. Okay, so I'm just saying, don't.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, there's been a couple of campaigns that I, have heard that they weren't able to fulfill, or they ended up, someone that I had talked to a few months ago actually ended up having to spend about $2,000 extra out of his own money to cover the shipping, and you forget about the the packing materials and all that good stuff. And so that's why I was like, yeah, man.
Hey man, Gemini mailers buy in bulk.
I actually got a message from them the other day, so I'm like just trying to, they gave me.
Or you know what? Actually, what I did over the weekend is there's a bookstore going out of business here. And so it was like everything must go. All of their comics were 50 cents. So I went in there and I just raided the place. I ended up spending almost $100. So I just have like a mountain of comics, and anything I don't really care about, hey, I got bagging boards.
Okay. Well, there you go. All right. So let me see here. Okay, so the $100, and then you got the original work bundle. What's in this? It's $100 also.
So this is it's one of the more unique things. So every page of this book, the first draft was handwritten by me, and I'm a stickler for records. So for the $100 bundle, you're going to get whatever page in the book. When you look at the digital file, whatever your favorite page is, you're going to get that page in the first draft, handwritten as it was, along with a nice printout of that page, along with your copy and your digital file. So I say original because there's no other. It's not going to be anything else out there like it. It's the only first handwritten draft ever done.
I'm just using Word. What is it? Microsoft Word. That's what I'm doing. And just writing like that. But okay, let me stop sharing. Okay, so we're going back here. I am talking to the great Joshua Plack, and we are talking about his book Eudaimonia, which is on Indiegogo right now. If you feel so inclined, please check the link in the description there. And if you have a few extra shekels hanging around in your pocket and feel so inclined, please get out and support these indie comics. So what made you have you written other books? What is the motivation here?
I've kind of kicked back and forth between prose and poetry. I've had a little bit more success with poetry. I've won a couple awards. I've been published about a dozen times, and I'm just kind of looking at the market right now, and there just doesn't seem to be a lot there as far as traditional publishing goes. And I was kind of going back and forth between whether this would work in a comic or not, and I was actually about to give up until I ran into Emmy. I really feel like comics are the place for me because I'm not as much as I like writing prose and I've had a little bit of success in publishing. The thing that I always heard as far as feedback is, people would say like, "Hey, this is good, but we want to know more," and that's just not really my style. Like, I'm a very bare bones kind of writer. I want to tell you what happened, when it happened, who was involved, and why it was interesting. I don't want to tell you about like what the rocks were shaped like in the background. And I think that kind of style really lends itself well to comics because it's like, okay, here's what happened, and now let's see how we can make that just explode off the page in a way that's interesting. It doesn't require you to, spend a day in the tub reading about it.
Well, you bring up an interesting point because towards the end of Chris Claremont's run on X-Men, when I was younger, and that was one of my favorite. It was always Claremont on X-Men. That was always in my pull list. So, I'd go and they just pull it. That's one thing I love. Local comic shop, you have your pull list, and they would just they'd pull everything because there were some great. They'd have those big summer crossover events and everything. Extinction Agenda and all these different things. And sometimes I notice that, Claremont he'd be like, Storm, the power of, she has the power of the weather or whatever. It just always explains like, or
telling, not showing.
Yeah. It's that kind of thing. So I noticed that like even like on like a new X-Men with Brian Michael Bendis, Sentry, the power of 1,000 suns. They'd be like that. And that's for the new readers though, as I started going, but I just don't. I was just like, dude, I've been reading this book for months and months and months. I know what's going on. Get into it. Captain America, World War II super soldier. I was like, really? Spider-Man, radioactive. I was like, dude, Spider-Man been around like 70 years, man. And you don't know.
Oh man, that reminds me. So the day this launched last week. I was just like all nervous, and I had too much energy, and I had to go for I ran like a 5K. I do a 5K every other day. So I go for my run, and I was like thinking about the book, and then like right towards the end of the run, I feel this pain in the back of my calf muscle. Uh-oh. Man, and I looked down, and somehow I must have like kicked a twig up or something. There was a spider on my calf biting my leg, like about the size of a $50. And I was just like, man, this is either like a really good omen for comics or I'm about to die.
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming you went to the doctor and addressed that.
Oh. No, it was just pink for a couple hours. I'm fine.
Didn't get it treated?
Nah. What? I'm not in Australia or anything.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just saying. The reason I remember it's a horrible story. A buddy of mine told me his neighbor was out like cutting his grass, and a brown recluse apparently hopped on his hand and bit him, and he was like, and just slapped him,
Yeah.
killing whatever, and he didn't think nothing of it, so he didn't go to the doctor. If you know anything about brown recluse venom,
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
it's extremely corrosive. It was like it made the flesh rot.
Yeah.
And it like healed up and like a plug of skin. Actually, it was like a cork of skin on his hand. Just one day said, and just fell out. It rotted away, and he had to have a skin graft surgery.
Damn.
And yeah, they had to do a skin graft and fix that hole in his. That's why I'm saying you never know.
No, I was gonna give it a couple hours, and if it wasn't right, I was gonna go. But no, if that was my wife, man, if that was my wife, I was at work one day. She came walking in, and she had just like tears streaming down her face, and I thought somebody died, and I was like, "What is it?" And she's just like, "We have a spider." I'm like, "You came to my work for that?"
I don't know. I'll probably become a teddy bear when certain things from.
Oh no! If it was anything but spiders, she's totally tougher than I am.
Yeah, it's like I have a thing. It's like, oh, brown recluse, oh, black widow, oh,
She had what was it? A few years back, we weren't married yet. We were just living together, and she was like bedridden for 2 days in like just utter agony, and it took everything to get her to go to the hospital, and ended up being MRSA. Like she had MRSA. She was just ride it out like it was nothing.
But that's what I'm saying. I always I don't know, spiders. It doesn't matter. Not to mention, I've watched for some reason I watch like Discovery Channel, Animal Planet, with Nat Geo and stuff. So I like watching like nature stuff. But
Shark Week,
Shark Week. But that's probably why I ended up getting fascinated with bees, because a lot of people was like, why is the character in Brand a beekeeper? Because it just, some people actually thought that I kept bees. I had some people go, hey, you keep bees. And I was like, no, I don't keep bees. I'm just interested in it. It's just something, I don't think I had the patience to actually, because it looks like everything I've watched dozens and dozens and dozens of hours over the last 2.5 years doing research on bees. Just, there's like so many YouTube channels that I'm subscribed to for beekeeping. And I mean, my God, was it Vino Farm, 628 Dirt Rooster, Little Bits Honeybee, Barnyard Bees. Yeah, I was like, it's just, and I mean, some of these channels, 130, 140,000, you know what I'm saying? Big channels. I was just interested in nature, but I watched something about black widow spiders. And there was this couple, and I think they were in Australia, and the guy was laying in bed with his wife, and somehow the little thing crawled up and got under the covers and when it bit him on the toe, I think, somewhere on the toe. And it caused his whole body to convulse and he had a seizure. It looked like, I was like, I hate, I have to be in the right mindset when I watch stuff like that, because all of a sudden it's like if you watch something about like ants or spiders, all of a sudden you start feeling stuff crawling on you and stuff. Is that kind of thing. I got to be in the right frame of mind to watch stuff like that, because I'll be like,
now I'm trying to think about like what I can do with like and my version of that, like animals that I'm really into. And you just gave me this idea. So I'm thinking about like maybe a book down the road, like what's next. And man, when I heard that story about the polar bears taking over that town in Russia, like I want to write a book about that now, like an actual war between polar bears and not polar bears versus people, but maybe like the raccoons need the people, so the raccoons form a raccoon army, and it's raccoons versus polar bears. But which you would think the polar bears would win, but because the raccoons have the numbers, they actually make it a good fight. That could make a good book.
Interesting. Polar bear. What was it? I can't remember. There was that movie. It was CGI polar bears, but I can't remember. They thought it was going to be like the next Lord of the Rings, and
Oh,
the characters had like these animal familiars.
the Golden Compass.
Yeah, I think yeah. And I thought
Yeah,
that was
that bombed.
it bombed, but the execution, at least with the special effects, actually looked really good. So I like the way the polar bears look with that armor.
Yeah. No, it
But
was
yeah,
because
that
they were
movie,
like, "Oh, we can do the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe," and
you
no.
notice they never finished that, right? Because they were originally they said they were gonna, they
Oh
were gonna
yeah,
do the whole thing. I'm not the only one that noticed they never finished it.
yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
did three. They did three, right? I think so. They never finished it. So I was maybe they'll go back and I don't know if they shot it again, they'd probably just start to do the first one again. You'd have to recast everybody. I saw the
I
one.
don't know, man. Now might be a bad time. There's been a lot of really bad looking CGI lately,
I
or
think
or not even like the Sonic the Hedgehog trailer and that
yeah, that
Cats
was bad.
trailer.
And but see, that's the thing. Yeah, we've definitely become a little too over reliant on CGI. I think CGI should be peppered in with practical effects. Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame both had amazing CGI, but they also had like $250 million budgets.
Yeah.
You spend that kind of money. What was it? I was looking at the old Spawn from what, like 97,
Oh
98.
God.
That movie does not hold. I mean, it didn't hold. The effects were bad in 98. When you look
Yeah.
at
No. No. No.
it
It looked like it was on a PlayStation,
now,
like the cutscene.
yeah. It just really did not hold up. And I was just like,
Yeah, but like I have you seen any of the new Paddington movies?
yes, the first one. The first one.
Oh
Didn't
my gosh,
the second one.
watch the second one. That is unironically one of the best movies I've seen like in the last decade.
Interesting.
And
Okay.
that's an example of a movie that has lots of CGI, but shows that, it can be done well and it can be done in a way that's still really immersive for the audience.
I actually enjoyed it because I used to watch. They used to show Paddington Bear all the time on HBO back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I was like 8 or something, it's like 82, 83 or whatever, and it was like, oh, Paddington Bear. That they used to show that in Babar.
Oh yeah.
I used to watch that. That's where and because my mom used to have those books. That's why Scholastic. I think it'd be nice to put like a comic through Scholastic one day, but I like writing like more for adults.
Yeah.
So Scholastic will never publish Brand. Maybe I can do a kiddie version of it or something.
Yeah.
Scholastic.
Oh, I miss those the books that you would order through school, like how you would get scary stories to tell in the dark, and
Well, they're
like I
still
would go
there.
to school. What's that?
They're still there.
Oh, I know,
still,
but I mean, like it was so exciting when you would go to school and they would have a new one of those with like paper thin ordering sheets. Oh,
well, yeah, they still do it because that was one of the things
well,
when
yeah, but they changed scary stories. They actually made it less scary, I think.
oh man, okay. Well, that's great because what was it? I was watching. I love YouTube because they have like all kind of old clips of television. Like you can think any television show you can think of within the last like 35, 40 years. You could type in like the honeymooners or whatever. It'll pull up clips from the honeymooners.
Mm-hmm.
You think about like what's that? The Streets of San Francisco when Michael Douglas was the young detective on there. You can find those great. I was talking about the Greatest American Hero the other day. They got all kind of clips from that. Auto Man, which was a horrible show, but was created by the guy that did Knight Rider, which I loved, and he also did Battlestar Galactica and Magnum PI. So. But yeah, Auto Man, which has some people told me that Brand was kind of reminded them of that because the character cursor that Auto Man had could like turn into different vehicles and pennants can like change and stuff like that. So, so I thought that was interesting, but the show was horrible. The show was horrible, but they got like full episodes of it on YouTube, and for whatever reason, they don't have copyright strikes. So I just that whole thing, yeah, I don't know. You know, it's like, but that's why I love YouTube. You like type in the Jeffersons, type in Good Times, All in the Family, and there'll be like great clips. One of my favorite shows back in the day was Beauty and the Beast with what's that? Ron Perlman.
Oh, the PBS.
Beauty and the Beast. It was on CBS. With yeah.
I guess they must have. I think PBS must have aired like reruns of that like later on because I totally remember that being part of my afternoon.
Oh yeah. They had it, and I think it was on the Hallmark channel too.
Oh yeah.
Hallmark. But yeah, Ron Perlman, Linda Hamilton. What was so surprising to me is George R.R. Martin was one of the script writers on that show.
Huh.
So yeah. So you watch especially like that first. You know, he wrote a lot of. You know, you would see his name on. They'd go through you'd be watching the credits and you'd see the executive producer, and then you'd like screenplay by George R.R. Martin and whoever else. But yeah, so obviously George R.R. Martin, the creator of Game of Thrones, and or A Song of Ice and Fire to be more precise. But I mean, he's rolling in. I would love to talk to him. I was like, I'm a big fan of his, but he's the whole thing. Just I don't know. It's just strange to me the way sometimes television is very powerful, and it's other times, you
it's funny. My wife is getting her PhD, and she studies film, and she does disability studies. So she studies closed captioning, which is legitimately like really, really interesting. If you think about how different things are expressed to deaf people, right? So like how do you denote like sarcasm, or how do you denote like an accent or something using only words at the bottom of the screen? But anyway, what's really funny is we've been watching, because part of our study is just to go back and watch tons of old TV shows and compare old closed captions to new closed captions. And the thing that I found is that so many of the TV shows I grew up watching and thinking were like really funny are really not very funny. Like they just did not hold up well at all. Like Home Improvement is awful. Like I can't make it through like half of an episode.
Oh man,
Family Matters was terribly unfunny. But some of the shows that like I kind of remember watching but didn't appreciate are like amazing to me now. Like if you go back and you watch Living Single with Queen Latifah, that show is still hilarious.
Oh, that show, when it was on, it was always like a top 5 show in Black households.
I don't think that show was nearly as appreciated as it should have been. Like compared to like Martin.
Yeah. That's Martin still has a lot of, but I mean, Martin has things because of all the different characters he would play. He would do Jerome, he'd do Shanae. Yeah. Those are, so even now when they see he's got those characters, like on TV One, it's like, because they had BET and then MTV bought it, and then so they created another black network. So they got this TV One. So they just rerun all the black shows that I used to watch on Fox and UPN. So like Malcolm and Eddie is next. So Malcolm and Eddie. I know LL Cool J had I think it was called Up All Night or something. It was some show he had.
Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
Hanging with Mr. Cooper, which I never liked, by the way. I never liked Hanging with Mr. Cooper. I thought,
nobody did. No, because you remember how like back in the day they would have like, you would see somebody like in hindsight you'll see like a random comedian pop up, and it's like, oh, that must have been when they were like coming up and they got a guest spot to see how they would do before they would get their own show. Yeah. Like that dude was never funny. Like I never understood what people saw in him.
Let me say this. I think Mark Curry is definitely funnier as a comedian because he works dirty, which a lot of people were shocked. So yeah, watch when
he might have been like horribly miscast as a gym teacher. Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing with what's the guy from what's that, Growing Pains? I think the dad on Growing Pains that was on America's Funniest Home Videos and stuff. He was, he's really dirty. I used to see him on HBO and stuff, and he was dirty, and then all of a sudden they've got him doing this really clean. He hated that character, but he loved those checks. that's what's so funny watching him now. I've seen him; he's go on Howard Stern show and stuff like that. And I think he was on Entourage a few times. He made appearances on Entourage a few times, but it was, and I know they got Growing Pains back on Netflix. I think for the however many seasons, I don't know, but I watched my girlfriend maybe watch the first season because we both, it's like that's how they had. It was TGIF on ABC, and you would see that's where they had the whole thing. They had
I still remember like the whole lineup. It was hang on, I got this. It was Full House, followed by Family Matters, followed by Step by Step, followed by Boy Meets World, and then I think Step by Step might have got canceled, and it just kind of cut him. And so like Boy Meets World moved up, and then I think after that it was Sister Sister.
Yes, I remember. Hey, hold up. Yeah, I made a mistake. Because when you said Full House, I realized I said Growing Pains, but I meant Full House. But appreciate the chance that you confused it, Alan Thicke with, may he rest in peace, Alan Thicke. But yeah, Bob Saget. Yeah, there was a song that aired on MTV with Bob Saget. It was hilarious. And I remember even George Lucas made a cameo in the Bob Saget. He had like a Bob Saget music video. And George Lucas made a cameo, and I was like, and I'm a big Star Wars fan, so like seeing, I was like, George Lucas, oh my God. But yeah, Bob Saget is really dirty. His Showtime special was like crazy, really, and that's in that horrible Lifetime movie that they did on Full House, which I know the Netflix show is called Fuller House.
Yeah,
but Full House, the Lifetime Full House movie is awful, but it had some of the behind the scenes stuff where he was getting kind of frustrated because he wanted to tell like a little bit more of a racy joke, and they need him to be America's dad, and he's like, that's not me, and people would get confused because the show blew up, and he'd be like trying to play a show in Vegas or something. He'd still do comedy, and he'd do a show in Vegas, and people would be getting upset with him because his act is rather blue. They think they're going this. What was the Saget? What was the name of the the Tanners? And they think he's playing the character. It's the same thing. That's why I would mention the Mark Curry special that I saw on Showtime, because he was like, if you think you came here to see Mr. Cooper, you're gonna be in for a hell of a surprise. And he just went in and just started being I don't know.
Dang, now you got me thinking about like watching the old Def Comedy Jam. And
I love Def Comedy Jam. That was
I legit, like, until I went back and rewatched it, I actually forgot that Chris Tucker did stand up.
That's shocking.
He had a couple segments on there, and
he was, I remember he came out. I was like, matter of fact, the Def Comedy Jam special, because they brought Def Comedy Jam back with all this new generation of comedians, and it was awful. It was some of the worst trash I'd ever seen in my life. And
did they bring back what was that guy's name? Hamburger Jones?
Hamburger. I was like,
You know what's really crazy to think about? Chris Tucker has one of the most flawless IMDb's. Like, everything he was in for like 15 years was just like the most amazing movie. Like, you could not go wrong with him, because you had Friday, Fifth Element, Dead Presidents. I know I'm forgetting some, but like, God, Dead Presidents is a kid. What's that? Rush Hour 3 wasn't very good.
Rush Hour 3 was awful, and I'm hearing they're going to make another one, Rush Hour 4, and they shouldn't. Rush Hour 3 was awful. It was one of the worst.
Even his movies where, like, they used to do a thing where it would be like silly black guy plus straight white guy comedy. Like, it would like it was like Chris Tucker and Charlie Sheen. Money Talks.
I remember, Money Talks, but he can play straight, because he was in, what was the movie? What's the young lady? I know she's from Kentucky. She's in the X-Men movies and Hunger Games. Jennifer Lawrence, and Silver Linings Playbook. I know she won an Academy Award for that, and he was in that. He had a straight role in that, and it was.
I didn't even know he was in it.
That's what I'm saying, because he was just. It was just a straight. It sounds like you got him, you got De Niro, you got what's the name that the guy that does the voice of Rocket Raccoon and everything. I can't remember. He was, I can't remember. Chris something. I don't know. Maybe Bradley Cooper. Bradley Cooper. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, that movie was loaded with heavyweights, and yeah, Chris Tucker. I saw Chris Tucker in that movie because I love dramas, and I like British dramas and stuff. So it's like I was watching Silver Linings Playbook. I was like, Chris Tucker's in this. And he's not. He's like, hey, come on, man. You know, he's not doing that. You know, he's not doing that. His Netflix special, he did that in Atlanta. His Netflix special is not bad. It's not. It did kind of seem like he had kind of about. It wasn't quite as sharp as I was hoping it would be, but it was. It started off kind of slow, but it was funnier as it got towards the end. Like when it got towards the end. He had some really good jokes in there. I thought Chris Rock's comedy special on Netflix was really funny. And the last Dave Chappelle one, which got everybody all triggered and everything. You got major companies like Vice writing articles like Dave Chappelle, somebody wrote an article like, it's time to face it. Dave Chappelle has got a problem or something. It was like, and they, calling him homophobic and all this kind of thing. And I was just, but the special was hilarious to me. And I thought he went after everybody. He was a equal opportunity offender. And that was one of the things that I really liked about it.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think of what was the name of his Comedy Central special? Like the one that just blew up. The one with, where he's like, Oscar, you're a grouch. Like, killing him trash can. Yeah, it was Give Him Hell.
Yeah, you can actually watch that. They've got it. I noticed when I was checking out my HBO on demand that was one of the things that they had listed. They had listed a bunch of those old comedy specials and Chappelle killing them. So I guess they was like, hey, everybody's talking about it. So that shows you how Hollywood or how the entertainment business works. Even though they're out there calling Dave Chappelle a bigot and a homophobe and all this kind of thing and saying his special's not funny, he's trending right now because they're going after him. So HBO goes, hey, we better pull that Dave Chappelle special and put it back on the air. So I
swear like half of that stuff is like, or not even half, I mean more than half. Like, I don't believe for a second that they actually believe most of the things they're saying. It's like, it's like we have the tabloids on the internet now.
Let me see here.
And now Dave Chappelle makes money, and the website, and Vice makes money, and we all end up yelling at each other.
Okay, let me see. A fuzzy creature in the chat said, I saw Chappelle on campus in 2003. I left because it was too blue for me. What didn't I do? I didn't protest. Well, thank you. I saw Dave Chappelle, I think it was 2015 at the Ryman Auditorium with me and my buddy Aaron. And I thought he was hilarious. I mean, it was right after that guy got arrested for throwing the banana peel at him in Texas. He had done a show in Austin or a couple of shows, and the guy had brought that rotten banana peel to the show and threw it at him, and they arrested him for assault. So yeah, I was like, why would you? Because the tickets cost me $80 a piece when I went. And I was like, why would you spend that kind of money or more? I'm assuming that Austin's a pretty big area. So, well, I mean, this is Nashville, so I was like, Austin, I'm assuming those tickets cost at least the same amount, or maybe $100, $125, because I know his shows out in LA, they had tickets that was like $300 and $400, So why would I spend that kind of money? Let me bring this banana peel in, and when get me a good seat close enough where I could possibly hit him, and want to throw something. It just seems stupid to me, but
people like that don't think.
But I think people, but also. I've noticed, and I heard, I watch a lot of ESPN, and I remember Stephen A. Smith was doing an interview, and he was talking about, he was at a game. I think he was in Denver. I think it was a Denver Nuggets game, and there was some ESPN executives there with him that, they were renegotiating his contract and, have a, talk to him, business, they were smoozing. And a couple rows back, there were these guys. And they just kept saying stuff to him, and a couple of things they said were really offensive. The way he was describing it, he said they kind of said some racist stuff to him, and so finally he snapped and turned around and said something to him. And he's like, "Will you shut blah blah blah?" And went off on him. And they were happy that they just got his attention. They were high fiving. They were like, "Yeah, we got him," and slap. And so they're fans. They just wanted to mess with it.
I mean, like, I don't know how familiar you are with Philadelphia fans, but
When they say they boo Santa Claus in Philadelphia, I watched.
Hey, come on. Now, to be fair, we were terrible at the time, and Santa was also visibly drunk.
I used to hear Charles Barkley talk. He did not like playing in Philadelphia. I remember he spit on that. He was spitting. He was trying to spit on the dad and ended up hitting the little girl or something. Yeah, he was trying to spit on the dad.
I saw him play because they used to practice at the college right near where I lived. So yeah, I got to see him play a little bit.
Yeah, because he's told that story. He said everybody's like, you spit on a little girl, and he said I was trying to spit on the dad, but the dad apparently had called him the N-word. And then so he decided to spit on him, and he ended up hitting the child. And everybody's like, "Oh, Charles Barkley hit spit on a little girl," And
yeah, but it's a little girl from Philadelphia, so it's not that's like an adult anywhere else.
So I don't know. That's something they still. I mean, hell, he makes millions of dollars a year still.
The thing that people don't really get about Philly is that when we say city, we say city of brotherly love, but if your brother, you love him, but you also beat the crap out of him. So that's what that means. We might spit at your daughter or punch you in the back of the head, but we love you.
But are you an Eagles fan?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So what's going on with Wentz?
I have no idea. I think he I don't know if he slept out in the sun or I don't know.
Yeah, because they were projected to win that division. I'm pretty sure unless they get it turned back around, Dallas is going to win that division.
I mean, our receiving core was pretty depleted against Atlanta the other night, and we still almost won the game.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I agree. I had Deshaun Jackson in my starting lineup. He put up a big goose egg because he got hurt.
Yeah.
And so now I'm all worried because the week before I had him on the bench. And he cranked off like 20-something points.
He'll do that.
Big, fast, 80-something yard touchdown or whatever. Oh, man. I was like, damn, I didn't start him. And so then I started him and he got hurt. And I ended up losing my fantasy match this week. So.
Wait, now who do you like?
I'm in Tennessee, baby. Titans.
Oh, okay. So
I thought we should have won that game on Sunday. And it's a tire fire though. I think we've got some good young players. We either need to bring in. I actually thought we probably should have made an offer to Joe Flacco I think he could have done. He still got enough in the tank where he could have helped us.
You want Captain Checkdown?
Well, I mean,
third and 3, and he throws it 2 yards.
Well, I'm just saying. I think going to Denver, no matter how much money they pay, I think that's like it reminds me of like almost when Emmitt Smith went to the Cardinals. Those last,
oh yeah,
yeah, it was just like.
No, I know about that because like Washington, the Redskins are basically our retirement plan. Like in the late '90s, all of our garbage went to Washington. Like you sent McNabb, Thrash. It was just like, yeah, go.
Jackson. It was like it's my God. When I was a kid, we hated the Redskins because they were so freaking good. They used to win all the time, or they'd end up in the Super Bowl or whatever. They were Redskins.
Now we hate them because they may have been doing like sex trafficking with their cheerleaders and selling peanuts from an airline that went out of business 10 years ago.
Who was that coach of was it Joe Gibbs? Trying to think.
Yeah. He was all right.
What, 3 Super Bowls?
Yeah.
I'm like, my God, man. They used to win. They used to win in Washington, man. It's
imagine what it's like when every other team in your division has at least 3 Super Bowls and you have 0.
over.
So
I'm saying because I mean they definitely have trophies in the but they're
yeah.
old.
So when we won our Super Bowl, man, we went buck wild.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's right. That Super Bowl y'all won is the only one y'all have.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, because I remember y'all went. Well, let's see, y'all went like in 81 or so, or was it 80?
I think it was 81.
I think
Lost to the Raiders.
The Raiders, yeah. That's why I was like, okay, yeah. Howie Long was on that team, and what's my Marcus?
We played. I wasn't even alive for that, but we played terrible. We were actually favored to win that.
Yeah, Howie. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, Marcus Allen was on that team. They were the Los Angeles Raiders when they did that. They had, and then I know the Eagles. Obviously, that was a great game against the Patriots that they ended up losing when Adam Vinatieri kicked that field goal. But T.O. had came back from that Achilles tear or whatever, and they did that surgery, and they were like, oh, he's selfish trying to come back, and he played balls.
Yeah, he balled out.
Woo, he was hot. I'm like, T.O. was on fire in that game. That's why I was like, when he didn't get first ballot Hall of Fame, I know Skip Bayless calls him Team Obliterator. And so yeah, they call him Team Obliterator. But it was T.O. not getting the first ballot Hall of Fame nomination. That was a travesty of justice. Him not get to. I mean, they obviously on the next voting he got in, but that was a crime. That's clearly the numbers. Hall of Fame. They did the same thing to Terrell Davis because he retired with the migraines and everything, and he 10,000 yards rushing for a running back seems to be the standard, and he had 10,000 yards, and so I was sitting there going, why these 2 Super Bowl rings, 10,000 yards rushing? What am I missing? I know he, like I said, he ended up retiring early, but that was a Hall of Fame career, So I
think McNabb is close too. I mean, a lot of Eagles fans really hate on McNabb, and I think if you look at his receiving core for most of his career, it's an absolute miracle that we won a game, let alone the games that we did, because we were terrible. I think one year Todd Pinkston was his number one target. Freddie Mitchell,
I remember Freddie Mitchell.
He basically had a decent O-line and some good running backs, and that's it. So yeah, he get worked up thinking about it.
But dude, I'm like, hey, it's like because I've been
old stone hands Freddie Mitchell.
But I just, like I said, man, I see stuff like that, and there was people were laughing. What was a couple months ago? McNabb was like, I think I'm a Hall of Famer. He got retired, his number or something got retired, Eagles Circle or whatever, however y'all do it, the Ring of Honor. I know they put him in that, but he says I'm a Hall of Famer, and everybody was like,
I don't think he's gonna get in. I think he definitely could have if he had a better core around him. But yeah, Eagle fans love to talk crap on McNabb, and I still think he's probably the best quarterback we've ever had.
But it's Phil Simms has got 2 Super Bowl rings. He's not in the Hall of Fame.
He isn't?
No, Phil Simms is not in the Hall of Fame.
Huh.
But then that's when I didn't know anything about football. So when I didn't know anything about football, I go, yeah, he actually won a Super Bowl. The first time, and then the second time he get the Super Bowl ring he's got. The second time, what was it? I can't remember Jeff
Hostetler.
Jeff Hostetler. He got injured in the playoffs, and Jeff Hostetler had to take over. Which obviously the Giants won that game too. Which that was the horrible game where the Bills kicker,
Norwood, yeah.
And I picked the Bills to win that game, and I go, and he's kicking it, and I'm like, yeah, and then that ball just yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna tell you a story. This is an absolute tragedy, but okay. So I was born in Philadelphia the year after the Phillies won the World Series. Okay, I'm 9 years old, and I decide that I'm going to pick another favorite team because the Eagles are just so terrible. So the Giants are undefeated at the time, and I say, all right, whoever beats the Giants, that's going to be my new other favorite team. So the Giants go out and they lose to the Eagles, so that doesn't really help me any. So I say, whoever the Eagles lose to next is going to be my other team. Next week they go out and they lose to the Buffalo Bills. I become a Buffalo Bills fan, and they proceed to lose 4 Super Bowls in a row.
Yeah.
Hang on, it gets so much worse. I decided my dad really liked golf, and I saw a guy on TV wearing these really funny pants and funny hat, and I was like, that guy's going to be my favorite golfer. What's his name? So his name was Payne Stewart. He died in a plane crash about a year later.
Payne Stewart. Oh.
Philadelphia hadn't won a championship in any sport until the year after I moved away from Philadelphia. So I was a curse on that city until the Phillies finally won a World Series. And the first time I ever actually sat down and watched a NASCAR race, the most popular driver in the sport died at the end of it.
Oh,
so long story short, I am a curse on whatever sport, whatever person or team or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I was watching that live. I was watching when the crash happened with Earnhardt. And
Owen Hart too. I hadn't watched wrestling in years. Me and my friend went to.
I told that story a couple streams ago. I was watching. I can't remember the WWE pay-per-view, or it was still WWF then.
I think I was watching. I think it might have been a King of the Ring. I could be wrong.
But he came, and then they, and the rope broke. Wow, and they were, obviously they switched because they were like, and then they rushed and, they got, and, they did the pay-per-view. They continued with the show. To me, I almost would have been like, okay, guys, somebody potentially died, but I understand people pay, you had like, what, about 70,000 people there or so.
Could you even imagine if you were there? Like, I can't imagine going to an event and having something like that happen and just being like, are we just going to pretend that didn't just happen? Is the show really going on? I'm sorry, but
no, yeah, they just kept they continued with the event, but they did mention, they were like, we're rushing him to the hospital, which from everything I heard, he died before he even got to the hospital. They knew he was dead, but they didn't.
Yeah, no, I think he was dead on impact. Actually.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I remember, I think it was Jim Ross, and he was like, they're rushing him to the hospital. He's seeking medical attention. We're praying for him. Get better soon, buddy. And I think they knew he was dead, but they didn't want to say it on the air. And then
I think technically you're not dead until you're pronounced dead.
Right. But it was from every report that's come out since that mother died. He was dead.
Oh, right?
Yeah. But like I said, I just remember Jim Ross was like, yeah, we've rushed him to the hospital. And like I said, I just think they didn't want to say, because when it came out later that, yeah, he was pretty much DOA, and I was also watching the boxing match with Riddick Bowe and Evander Holyfield when the parachute guy.
Oh yeah,
the guy they did the outdoor ring, and that same idiot parachuted into a Denver Broncos game.
Yeah,
and he got arrested. He did they call him Fan Man. He had a big fan attachment to the so he could do air gliding. And it's like. And he's staring the thing. But I remember watching, and if I'm not mistaken, it was Evander Holyfield and Riddick Bowe, and I think Riddick Bowe said, he was getting ready to punch Evander Holyfield, and all of a sudden he saw Evander like look off, and he was unguarded, and at first he thought Evander was trying to trick him. And then all of a sudden, because you're in the middle of throwing blows, and all of a sudden he goes. and he thinks he's trying to, so he can go boom and drop him, right? And then all of a sudden he hears the crowd is going, and they turn around, they see this nut has landed, and he got tangled up in the ropes, and the security guys beat the living shit out of that dude. They just beat him down because they said he had like neck abrasions. I was like. And I remember Riddick Bowe's wife was actually at ringside. She was pregnant. She was pregnant with one. I think he got like 5 kids. That dude had a bunch, all the baby mamas and stuff. But his wife at the time, I think that's the same woman, because it was funny what happened to Riddick Bowe. He ended up, I don't know if he was on drugs or what. They said he was going through like depression or whatever, but he kidnapped his wife, I remember. and they said that they had arrested him for that. He kidnapped his wife and his children or something and drove. He was trying to. I guess he was trying to make his wife come back home. She had left him, and he had grabbed. They call that kidnapping. He was like, "You coming home?" And he had grabbed her and stuff. And
like unlawful detainment.
yeah, that kind of thing. Because I was like, but you started hearing stuff about Riddick Bowe. His what's his? I can't remember his manager. That guy that was his manager, real light skinned brother, and Newt Roxy. I can't remember his name, but he was he was telling everybody, he's like, I'm praying for Riddick, because Riddick tried to come back, and he looked a little overweight, and he just didn't look like his. He was clearly he was broke. Because these guys, I don't understand how you spend $30-40 million. Let me get $30-40 million.
Yeah,
I'll live comfortably.
I mean, I'm gonna miss. That's something I really miss. I don't think we're ever gonna have that era of boxing that I had when I was a kid. When you had, like, I remember waking up on Sunday morning to like Sports Center alerts that Mike Tyson has just lost to Buster Douglas in like Japan, and like God. Like when I grew up, it wasn't as good as it was in the 60s and the 70s, but man, it was close. And compared to like what's going on now, I couldn't even tell you who's been a heavyweight champ in the past like 10 years. Like,
well, see, yeah, that's the thing. When I was a kid, growing up in I was born in 75, and when I was coming up, Mike Tyson, when Mike Tyson came, it was like, it was like lightning, and he was knocking people out in like a round.
Oh yeah, kids would talk on the playground, be like Mike Tyson was like a supernatural interdimensional being. It was like, would you take a punch from Mike Tyson for $1 million? No way, man. Like, he'll kill me. Like, we were afraid of a guy that we had like zero chance of ever meeting in our life. Like, yeah.
Well, see, that's also the thing. There was, what was it, Ray Boom Boom Mancini. He was a champ. I think he was a middleweight champ. And he actually, Rock Newman, that was Riddick Bowe's manager. Yeah, Charles. Yeah, I remember Rock Newman. He does like a television show at Howard University. It's like it's on YouTube. But Boom Boom Mancini, he was like the champ, and he did a boxing match. Like I said, I think he was middleweight or something. He hit the guy, and the guy died in the ring, and he never fought again. It bothered him that he killed somebody in the ring. So it was that was something that really, really bothered him. But I just boxing is brutal. I really liked Mike Tyson. I had the Mike Tyson Punch Out game. And also but at that time when I'd watched all Mike Tyson's fights on HBO. He had a contract with HBO while his fights were on there. And then he left HBO. That's when he started hooking up with Don King, and they started putting over. That's when pay-per-view started getting really big. And then that's when the fight was actually on pay-per-view. And so they set up the fight with Buster Douglas in Tokyo. So they flew out he was still married to, he was married to Robin Givens, and they were going through a divorce or whatever. And he got off the plane, and Robin Givens actually met Buster Douglas at the airport or something. It was like Buster got off the airplane, and Robin was there for him. And I thought that was, I didn't know she was trying to, mess with him, but Buster, trained for that. Like he never, and if you watch the fight, Mike actually knocked him down early. And then, he got up. And, Mike admitted he barely trained for that. He was out there whoring and drinking, messing with women. He just thought he was invincible and he didn't have to discipline anymore. His old trainer, Customato, they used to stay on him to train all the time. And he just, Cuss died, and he was just like, yeah, nobody can beat me. I'm invincible. And he was like, yeah, I really didn't work that hard. And I was out of shape when I went in the ring. And because Buster proved when he had the next, he had like one successful title defense, and then I think he met Evander Holyfield. Evander just destroyed him. It wasn't even close. So, I mean, I don't know. But that's for all you boxing heads out there. Whew. Well, Joshua, it has been so fun talking to you. I really enjoyed the conversation. Matter of fact, let me pull your book back up one more time and let people look at it. And let me see. I want people to take a look. This is Eudaimonia. I'm butchering that. I can't say that word. But here it is. This is on Indiegogo right now. The link is in the description if you guys want to check it out. It looks really interesting. Look at these great colors. I mean, it looks like his artist is doing every damn thing. Great letters. Look at these pages. Looks really interesting. So if you feel so inclined, please, throw a little support and help this guy get funded. But Joshua, tell everyone how they can reach out to you if they're interested in your project. Uh-oh. Did I lose you? Joshua? Oh, no. Let's see. Hold on. Well, I may have lost him. Let me see here. Let me pull his twatter up. And I know, let's see. His Twitter is Eudaimonia book. Oh, okay. His mic broke. Okay, yeah, it's Eudaimonia. I can't say it. Spell the word, the title. Spell the title of the comic, and then put book behind it. Yeah, at Eudaimonia. Eudaimonia. Okay, Eudaimonia book. That's his Twitter at, and of course, check it out on Indiegogo. And hello, Zaid Comics. How are you, sir? I'm about to get out of here, brother, but it's good to see you in the chat. But hey, my thanks to Joshua Plack for joining us here today. But with that being said, I'm gonna wrap this video up. And if you guys want to reach out to me, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and right here on this YouTube channel, everywhere is at Akari Press. And if you type in akaripress.com, it will take you directly to my Indiegogo campaign for my comic book series brand with the phenomenal Kanan White. We're on Teespring. We're on Amazon.com. The links to those are in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. Back Eudaimonia. I'm out.